This is The Bottom Line. The Bottom Line on 938 Live.
Major Singapore-listed companies will start reporting their earnings this week. Which sectors will be the shining stars, while which will give investors a scare? Earlier, 938 Live's Bharati Jagdish spoke to David Kuo, Chief Executive of the Motley Fool Singapore, for his analysis.
I think, there is one particular sector that I've been looking at that I think will do quite well this year, and I think it's going to be the palm oil sector. The palm oil sector has been hit pretty hard. But I think there are a number of factors that are going on in the palm oil sector that could make it quite interesting. I mean, the first one is that inventory levels are getting quite low now. And the second one is that there is increased demand for palm oil products. I'm washing my hair a lot more regularly, eating a lot more palm oil products. So therefore, I think that not me alone, but just everybody in general. And I think, that is actually going to drive palm oil prices. And the other thing, of course, is that there could be some climate effects as well. So when you put all the three together, I think the palm oil sector could see a modest improvement.
Let's talk about what sectors do you expect to see investors running away from?
I tell you what, I don't see investors running away from any particular sector because I think the markets are quite cheap at the moment. They really don't look too expensive to me. But if I were to finger one particular sector that I think is going to not so much struggle, but to have a tough time, I think it's going to be what we call consumer discretionaries. These are the ones where consumers have a choice as to whether or not they want to buy the services and products. And in particular, I think, the restaurants industry might find it going a little bit tough because what we're seeing is there is inflation in the system, raw material prices are going up, and some of the restaurants may find it quite difficult to pass on the price increases to consumers. And if the consumers think that the prices are too high, they may not buy. So therefore, I think the restaurant sector may be one that may not do as well as some of the others.
Now, David, to what extent do you think credit strains in China will weigh on the balance sheets of corporates here?
China is actually a very interesting issue because the thing with China is they can decide what they want to do within their own economy. I think most people are gearing up for maybe some kind of credit tightening within China itself. But the point about China is that it's moving from what we call a command-led economy to a consumer-led economy. In other words, the government wants to take less of a role in driving the economy, and they want to actually sort of put that power back into the consumers themselves. So as they go through that transition, there are going to be humps and bumps along the way. There are going to be moments when people think things aren't going too well. But I tell you what, I think China is going to do a lot better than people think. And I think that, when you have over 1 billion people out there ready to spend money, I think they will drive their economy. So I don't think, credit tightening is going to be that much of an issue.
Thank you very much, David. David Kuo, Chief Executive of the Motley Fool Singapore. Thanks for joining us on The Bottom Line.